All right, guys, hello. We made it through a week. It is now Monday. So, what we are going to be doing today is going through the legacies of the Roman Empire. So, this should still be a review from sixth grade, but if it's not, then hey, you're getting this information anyways. Instead of filling this in like our usual notes on Google Classroom, instead you have a printout. On the very front, it should look like this. So you have the legacies, you have the 4 sections, and you notice we have 2 separate boxes. You have the impact on Rome and the impact today. So as we go through, we are going to write what is highlighted, well, not highlighted, in red and underlined in the boxes. And the titles of the slides tell you where you need to write them, whether it is the impact on Rome or the impact today. When we are finished with all of the notes, then you are going to do the travel brochure activity. So you're going to create a brochure using the info you learned from the front, and you're going to explain the importance of ancient Rome's legacies on the world today. So you'll write Rome here, you'll list some of the things they left for the world, what the importance of those were, and you're going to explain how it impacted the United States. These 3 boxes are for you to draw pictures of those actual legacies or advancements that they did, or achievements, I guess. All right, there's many words you could use there. All right, so let's start going through this PowerPoint. All right, so our standard that we're reviewing today is Standard 657. Analyze how innovations in engineering and architecture contributed to Roman expansion, including the roles of aqueducts, domes, arches, roads, bridges, sanitation, and the building of the Colosseum. Now, an aqueduct is it looks like a bridge, but it actually helps transport water. So it is another form of irrigation. And our main learning objective today is to analyze how the innovations in engineering and architecture contributed to Roman expansion. So, how did Rome expand because of these? And also, how does it impact the United States today? We are identifying those legacies, how they contributed to the advancement and expansion of Rome, and how they have helped us in the United States today. So our first one is going to be art and architecture, impact on Rome. So everything through here, you're going to write on impact on Rome, art and architecture. Remember, you are only writing the red and underlined info. Just like our notes last week, you are only writing the red underlined information. So art was a very important part of Roman lives. They decorated their homes, their businesses, and their temples in paintings and large murals made by tiny pieces of stone called mosaics. We see mosaics nowadays mostly made of like stained glass, things like that. You can see those type of tables and things like that at thrift stores, Lowe's, Home Depot sometimes. The Roman art that had the most long-lasting legacy, however, was sculpture. Roman statues were either carved from marble or cast in bronze. Marble was expensive and it required real skill to carve, so it indicated social status. If you had marble statues, you were going to be wealthier, more important in society. But bronze was even more expensive, so it was even more prestigious, meaning that if you had bronze, you were even better off than the people with marble. Bronze was super duper important because you had to actually carve out, you actually had to make a cast, and you had to pour the bronze in. And metalworking was really, really hard back then because not a lot of people knew how to do it. Again, because this is a video, you can pause just in case you're taking a little bit longer to write everything down. That's totally fine. Now here we have some pictures of mosaics. We can see all these little pieces pieced together and kind of stamped into mud or grout. All right, these are mosaics. All right, you can make a mosaic out of little glass, out of little rocks, out of pieces of paper that you glue down, anything like that. Wouldn't surprise me if you do something mosaic-ish in art, either 6th grade, 7th grade, or 8th grade. And you can see that these are older because look at how much of this one is missing. All right, we can see that is from way back then, back in the Roman times. And then here are many different ideas of the actual sculptures. So this one's made of bronze, or it's not this one made of bronze, my apologies. This one is made of marble. This one is also made out of marble. Now it's been repainted. A lot of these statues were painted at the beginning, And as time has gone on, it's worn off. So this is what people think it actually looked like with the paint on it. And then this one is in bronze. We can tell it's in bronze, A, because it looks very different from the marble one, but B, it is showing that wear and tear. Think of when you get a copper penny really dirty and it starts to like kind of get that mucky gray color or mucky gray green. That's what's happening here. It's oxidizing. All right, it's showing its age. All right, so I'm going to hit undo where I moved those pictures. Now, the Romans were some of the greatest architectural innovators and engineers in history. They developed styles and techniques that changed the world, like arches. And you see arches in bridges, our buildings. But by building two arches that would intersect at a perpendicular angle, the Romans created something even more useful, which is the dome. A dome roof covers wide spaces while remaining structurally sound. Think of like a football stadium with a covered dome. Okay, it's a nice open roof, but it keeps everything secure. The Romans constructed aqueducts throughout their republic and later their empire to bring water from outside sources into cities and towns. Aqueduct water supplied public baths, restrooms, fountains, and private households that could afford it. It also supported mining operations, milling, which is grinding up wheat into flour, farms, and gardens. Yes, they had public baths, meaning that everyone would share a huge bathtub. Be thankful for indoor plumbing. All right, here we have some Roman bridge design with our arches. All right, and we have some little gaps here just in case the water starts to really get high and overflow, it can flow through. Here we have aqueducts that look almost the same as the bridges, but we have a little bit of a channel through here up the top to help transport water. And of course, here we have the Colosseum made up of many, many arches. All right, you can see where a dome roof probably would have been or may have been at one point and has fallen down. Now, Roman roads were created in varied lengths, ranging from small local roads to broad long distance highways built to connect cities, major towns, military bases. And like the Greeks, the Romans used columns in their architecture. The columns served as a support for structures, but it could also be non structural. It could just be there to look pretty. The Roman Colosseum was a massive amphitheater covering 6 acres of land and was able to seat around 50,000 spectators. Builders of the Colosseum used more than 1 million tons of stone, concrete, and bricks to complete the structure. All right, that's a lot. This bit right down here, that is still an impact on Rome. Impact on Rome. If you're running out of room, try to write it off to the side. I know that these boxes are not super large, but try your best. All right. Now, we're not going to watch the YouTube video right now. If you want to, you totally can. All right, it's just a 4-minute long video about how they built the Pantheon Dome. Now, the impact today for art and architecture. Several forms of Roman sculpture had lasting legacies in art. A lot of the Christian sculptures throughout European history are depicting Bible scenes, and they're using the Roman styles, which is where people look realistic, they're generally correct proportions. They don't always look perfect. Sometimes they do, but they don't always. Even today in the United States, most of our sculptures of presidents, like that giant statue of Lincoln in Washington, D.C., are based on Roman sculpture. And before the Romans, no one really knew how to use the arch as an architectural feature. But the best example of that in the US would be the Capitol building in Washington, D.C. And we still use domes and columns today. So again, we are writing these red words in the impact today. Pause if you need to write stuff down. Okay, so here we have the Capitol building. All right, we can see some art. We can see some arches. All right, we see that with windows. We see some columns. We have a dome up here. All right. And you see the arches in McDonald's. Okay, we see arches everywhere. We have columns in a lot of places. We have arches in a lot of places. We have domes in a lot of places. We use them a lot in our architecture. Now, for law and government, as part of the moral and philosophical standards in Roman literature, the Romans developed a complex legal system. Now, philosophy is the study of some of the most basic questions about human life. Who are we? Why are we here? What is our purpose? Things like that. Law and philosophy were both closely tied to the Roman political system called the Republic. In a republic, the people elect officials to represent their interests. In this system, the citizens vote for their leader or leaders. All right, we're writing this in Law and Government Impact on Rome. Does that sound somewhat similar to our government today? Yeah, it does. All right, so here we have some of the depictions of actually voting. All right, you have people walking up to vote. All right, they're casting their vote, they're getting their actual ballots over here, and they're casting for who they want to vote for. And here we even have it depicted on a coin of someone voting. Now, the impact today for law and government. Well, the United States today is a republic. We elect the leaders of our country. We still have elections. That's not going to stop, even though it takes a while for everyone to get full rights in how to vote. Now, religion, again, the impact on Rome. In the later parts of the Roman Empire, it had a great impact on religion in Europe through the spread of Christianity. Let's think back. We know that Christianity was created by Jesus Christ, who was born a Jew. And part of the reason it spread so much was because of Paul, who went to Asia Minor and Greece and Rome spreading Christianity. All right. Paul also wrote much of the New Testament. Now, Rome was the head of the Catholic Church. So, for the impact on Rome, their Christianity equals the Catholic Church in Rome. Again, later on this week, we are going to talk about how how Christianity has its own schism or big split because of the split of the empires. Now, because Rome was the home of the Catholic Church, which would hold great influence over Europe for the next 1,000 years, Christianity has stayed the largest religion in the world. All right. So, just as the picture, we have St. Mary's of the Seven Sorrows, Catholic Church in downtown Nashville. We can see some Roman architecture influence. All right. We have our columns. We have a different type of dome. All right. We don't really see any arches. Well, we see a little bit of an arch for the windows, but we still see some Roman architecture influence. And it really stands out compared to the high-rise buildings on either side. Looks like a Regions Bank, office building, and whatever the one with all the fancy glass panels are that are reflecting the skyline. And then last but not least is language. So the official language of the Romans was Latin, and according to Rome's first historian Virgil, Latin unified the first inhabitants of Rome together as one people. So language was incredibly important to the Romans, who maintained strict rules about grammar and spelling. Latin equals a unified people of Rome. If everyone speaks the same language, they are going to be much easier to stay as one group, one empire, versus a country that has multiple different languages and no one can understand what's going on. All right, now here we have an evolution of the alphabet, just going through Phoenician, ancient Greek, ancient Latin. Here's how the Romans were writing it. And then here is modern Latin, aka what we use as our English language alphabet. All right, we can see that I has split up into two letters, I and J. All right, we can see that V has turned into UVW. All right, we can see all these differences. All right, we can see that we've dropped some letters. We can see that we've gained some letters. However, it stayed mostly the same from the old Roman alphabet. Now, the impact today, obviously the Latin alphabet was influenced by its ancient Italian, ancient Greek, ancient Phoenician languages. All right, but historians believe that seafaring merchants are actually responsible for creating our modern Latin alphabet. The widespread use of Latin made it one of the first shared languages in Europe. So you've got those merchants traveling over and over. They speak Latin. Others are going to learn Latin in order to trade. So it becomes used as the official language for kingdoms, churches, and scholars throughout history. And before you know it, Latin is becoming associated with all things important. If you are really educated, or you work in the church, or you work in the government, you're going to speak Latin. And even today, when scientists make a new discovery, they give it a Latin name. So Latin is used for scientific names for plants and animals, and a lot of our US mottos are written in Latin. Many church services are still given in Latin. So a motto is a phrase or a quote that is representative of a person or a brand's ideals and values. All right, think of McDonald's. Ba-dum-bum-bum-bum, I'm loving it. Or the adage, think smarter, not harder. All right, so those are mottos. Those are things that either you live by, you make sure you keep using, or something to make a brand name stick out. All right, when we're talking about actual scientific names for animals, we have it right here, like Canis lupus for the gray wolf, Canis latrans for the coyote, and Canis familiaris for our normal type of domesticated dog. All right, and we have it here for food too. So rice is Orza sativa, corn is Zea mais, sorghum is sorghum bicolor. You probably don't use sorghum that much. And wheat is Triticum acetum. I'm struggling with that one. All right, and then here's some more examples of mottos with brand names. So one of the old ones for Apple was Think Different. McDonald's, I'm loving it. Coca-Cola, Open Happiness. You've got KFC, it's finger looking good. Right? Because you're worth it for L'Oreal. Maybe she's born with it. Maybe she's Maybelline. All right, and America runs on Dunkin'. Teachers run on Dunkin'. We like coffee. Just a hint, we like coffee. All right, so now that you have all that written down, you are actually going to you're actually going to flip your paper over to the brochure activity and use that info that you wrote down to create your brochure. The place is Rome, Rome. I'll most likely already have that written on there for you. You're going to fill in these blanks and you are going to draw 3 pictures. All right, draw something with architecture. Maybe draw a US motto, maybe draw someone voting. All right, things like that. All right, guys, go ahead and finish this up and have a great rest of your day.